I want to take a moment to let you guys know that I'm so thankful for your feedback on my videos because it gives me the opportunity to refine my philosophy about fragrance wearing and hopefully better communicate it with you. I'm in the middle of finishing the production on the second installment of my Timeless Fragrance Masterpieces series, and I think that episode will actually be live already, so if you missed it, you can check it out here. And I had a little bit of back and forth with some of you down in the comments that has helped me understand the fundamental difference between a masterpiece and a 10 out of 10 fragrance. I'm probably going to make a whole video about this concept separately, so I'll keep it simple at the moment and I'll just say this. The term masterpiece is an objective evaluation based on a particular criteria. It's not contingent on any one person's opinion, taste, or experience. On the other hand, the term 10 out of 10, which is in essence an arbitrary rating, but it can be helpful to help other people understand where you're coming from in terms of your taste for something, is an absolutely subjective evaluation. It is based purely on your personal opinion, taste, and experience. And by nature, it will differ from others, sometimes wildly, even on the same subject. Again, more on that later. Now, I talked in depth about what constitutes a 10 out of 10 fragrance for me in the previous episode of this series. It was quite a bit of preamble, honestly, so I'm going to save you some time right now in this episode, but I do highly encourage you to go back to that previous episode and at least check out those first 4 minutes or so. It'll give you a really great breakdown on where I'm coming from. But to sum it up in a very unsatisfactory way for you right now, what makes a 10 out of 10 fragrance for me is inexplicable. It's solely based on the way the fragrance makes me feel when I wear it. Not just smelling it up close, but in the air around me, on my body, out in the world. It has nothing to do with the performance, the compliment factor, the versatility, none of that. It's all about how the scent affects me emotionally and mentally. So with all that out the way, I'm going to share with you another batch of 5 fragrances that I consider 10 out of 10s, and for the most part, they're all readily available if you want to try them for yourself, so there will be links down in the description, and let's dive right into it. Now, when I said readily available for the most part, this is the most part. From Le Labo, we have Tabac 28. This is still currently my favorite fragrance from the house that I've tried. Now, what makes this tough to get is the fact that it's a city exclusive. It is exclusive to the city of Miami, Florida. What that means, if you're not familiar, that outside of the months of August and September every single year, you can only get this fragrance in the physical Le Labo store in Miami. However, in August and September, you can buy it at any Le Labo store worldwide as well as online. This is not an endorsement for Le Labo. They did not tell me to say these things. They don't know who I am, but I do love this fragrance and I've loved it ever since I first sampled it when it came out, I think maybe 2018. It's a simple fragrance, but to me it's very authentic, realistic, sweet rum, very, very boozy, spicy, warm, almost smoky from that tobacco. It smells like you're sitting on a balcony of a villa in Miami or maybe in Habana, and you have a nice Cuban cigar, you have a glass of Habana Libre, and you're just enjoying the evening. It's so good. Now, it's very particular, so some of you guys may not like this at all. It's specific, and specificity brings polarization by nature, but this stuff moves me. I wear it, I just feel like myself. So I'm happy to have this bottle that was a gift to me from my wife. I'm gonna go through it slowly because it is not cheap to replace. Anyway, Tabac 28 from Le Labo. The next one up is one that was love at first sniff for me. This rose to the rank of 10 out of 10 for me right away. Sometimes it happens that way, sometimes it's instantaneous, and sometimes it grows into it. Sometimes the fragrance has to grow on you a bit before it really crosses that echelon. But this was right out the gate 10 out of 10 for me. And I've seen quite a bit of mixed reviews on this. Some people seem to really love this as much as I do. Some people find it unremarkable. Either way you think about it, you're right. We're talking about Gentle Fluidity Silver from Maison Francis Kurkdjian. Another simple fragrance. Some of you guys who know that I love niche, complex perfumery, I don't always need that in order to deem something the highest level for me. Complexity is great. I love it. But simplicity, when done right, with personality, with authenticity, it catches me. I really fall for that type of scent profile. This is just a few elements working together. Cooling, fresh juniper berry, almost a gin-like herbal freshness, cold in a way, with a slight sweet warmth from amber and vanilla. So there's a little bit of a juxtaposition of cool and warm happening. You have coriander in here, which to me does smell a little bit like cilantro, very mildly. It's an almost green, slightly leafy, herbal, spicy feel, and it dries down musky, but it doesn't change all that much as it dries down. It's a little bit linear, but I think it's gorgeous. It just checks a bunch of boxes that most people would be looking for. For me, these boxes don't need to be checked in order for it to be a 10 out of 10, other than the fact that I need to love the smell, and I do, but it does perform super well. For some reason, this stuff lasts all day on my skin, and it is a fairly likable profile in the air. In fact, to some people, it smells even a little bit mainstream, and I can see where they're coming from, but when I dive deeper into it, there's nuance here. There is some thought behind this fragrance, and I appreciate it for that. And more than anything, I just love the wearing experience. It's also quite versatile. I don't need that, but it happens to be a plus. So that is Gentle Fluidity Silver from MFK. Total 10 out of 10 for me. This next fragrance was almost a love at first sniff, and here's what I mean by that. We're talking about, first of all, Raja Parfum Scandal Pour Homme Parfum Cologne. Now, those of you who've been watching this channel for the last 5 years or so, you know I love this fragrance. However, my introduction to this DNA was the original Scandal. I think it was an eau de parfum at the time, before this was even a thing. I smelled it in a perfumery and I could not stand it. It smelled so stuffy. It smelled like an old man to me. Now I have a bottle of that, and I love that too, which I got after this. But the brand sent this over to me when it came out several years ago. For whatever reason, I put this on and it enraptured me. I was taken away in a way that the original never did. Now the original comes close, but for some reason this still does it. And the reason why, I think, is because of the citruses, the brightness here. It's mouth-watering, it's uplifting. When you spray it on, you get this lemon bergamot combo that just smells crisp, bright. It livens the senses. It just kind of wakes you up. Behind that is this very masculine, slightly sophisticated, mature smelling fougere DNA. There's this creamy, almost barbershop, shaving cream kind of vibe. It's spicy, it's woody, it's a little green. Scandal is actually a good name for it because it is a bona fide fougere, but there's something about it that is very sexy and alluring in this elevated masculine way, in a way that smells dapper, that smells dressed up, elegant, a little bit edgy. There's something about it that has an almost animalic feel. It could be the oak moss. It does remind me of a more beefened up, livened version of Eau Sauvage Eau de Toilette from Dior. It's like more complex, more filled out, more present. I love Eau Sauvage, but I prefer this, honestly. If I had to choose between the two, the way this affects me when I wear it, I feel unstoppable when I wear this. I feel utterly confident, professional, but again, with a little bit of this edgy allure that makes me feel even better. That is Scandal Pour Homme Parfum Cologne from Raja Parfum. Now, I feel like I've been talking about this fragrance quite a bit recently. I've talked about it quite a bit over the years, but in the past couple months, I feel like you guys have seen a lot of this from my channel. So for that, I kind of apologize, but at the same time, I just do my best to share with you guys what's currently on my radar, what I'm actually reaching for and thoroughly enjoying. And it's still Straight to Heaven from Killian, my favorite from the house still at this point. It's a fragrance that, again, just reminds me of myself. It smells like me. That is something all these fragrances have in common. They kind of represent a piece of me in a way when I wear them. Complex simplicity is what I would call this. A little bit oxymoronic, but trust me, I think it suits the fragrance perfectly. This is boozy, which is what Killian's known for. Lots of rum in here. I'm a big rum fan, as you can see. Rum on dry cedar wood with some dried fruits and vanilla. Almost this pruny, fruity feeling that is sweet and kind of made smooth and almost creamy by the vanilla, but it is pretty dry with that cedar wood. And again, booze all on top of that, and that is wrapped inside of a big patchouli leaf. So it's earthy and damp, kind of dark smelling, will not be to everyone's taste. Does not change a whole lot on the skin as it dries, maybe a little bit linear, but I love the feeling I get. There's a magic to this scent when I wear it. When I smell it around me, my wife loves it when I wear this. I don't put on too many sprays, maybe 3, 4 max, and I just feel super classy when I wear this. I tend to save it for the evening, and it makes me stand out because no one is smelling like this. Few people are reaching for a profile that smells like this combination of ingredients. Smells incredible, masterfully done. That is Straight to Heaven from Killian. And the final fragrance is from the house of Creed. I have many favorites from Creed. They don't all achieve the 10 out of 10 mark. Sometimes I need to revisit a fragrance just to see how I feel about it, because things can change. We're human. Change is the only constant. And this is a fragrance that has experienced change. When I first smelled this, I hated it. It smelled like I was falling into a pine tree. And that was just from a decant. I savored that decant for a few years. And over time, the more I'd spray it and wear it, the more I grew to love it, to the point where I decided I need a bottle of this stuff because this is a remarkable, extraordinary woody fragrance, and it is Royal Oud. So easy to overlook. It came out a year after Aventus, but there's a reason why it's still on the market. This is one of the best classy woody fragrances that I think is still pretty accessible that you can buy. It is not dark, it's not overwhelming or overpowering, but it is particular. It is so dry. I love that about it. There's a texture to this scent. When you smell it, you smell the dryness of cedarwood. I don't get a lot of oud, but it's dry, peppery cedarwood, a little bit dusty and green from maybe some galbanum, a touch of very natural smelling like woody sweetness. I couldn't tell you where that's coming from, but there's something fresh about it, all while being warm and dry all at the same time. I love the current batches. Honestly, this is a newer batch. Doesn't last all that long, but it lasts perfectly for the functions I needed. It's a 5 or 6 hour fragrance for me. That's all I need it for the times when I go out wearing it. But beyond all that, the way I feel when I have it around me, you can't tell me nothing. Let me know if you feel the same way about Creed Royal Oud, and if you haven't tried it for some odd reason, go down to the description. There will be a link to a sample, maybe even a little discount if you want to save some money on that sample, as well as all these other fragrances. Maybe the Tabac 28, I might have some trouble finding a link for that. I'll do my best. Again, it's hard to get outside of those couple months I mentioned, but I'll do my best. But I want to know what you think. Let me know down in the comments. This video is kind of about my 10 out of 10 fragrances, but more than that, I want it to be about you. What makes a 10 out of 10 fragrance for you? Give me some examples in the comments. Try to be specific and tell me why. It doesn't have to be for the same reasons as mine. If you do consider all those other factors like versatility and compliments and all that, that's fine, but be specific. Let me know down in the comments. Let's talk about it. And thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.